The Tribunal Citadel hovered in a fixed orbit above Vandros 9, its stone-like hull absorbing the orange light of the star below. Cadet Lira Hayes stepped onto the central platform as it carried her into the chamber, rising through layered rings of delegates who assessed her like a biological anomaly rather than a student summoned for inquiry. She felt their scrutiny from every angle, reading the mixture of distrust, pity, and calculated judgment. None of it rattled her. She had prepared for far worse. A harmonic tone chimed overhead, silencing the hall. Protocol 7 is now active, a synthetic voice announced. No displays of force or acceleration within tribunal limits. Lira exhaled once, steadying her posture. She wasn't here to intimidate anyone. She only needed the truth to surface. High Arbiter Vakrel shifted on his elevated dais, his segmented limbs clicking against polished obsidian. His voice carried the softness of someone who knew the chamber belonged to him alone. "Cadet Hayes," he began, "your presence has been requested to address your involvement in the Academy incident 5 cycles ago. For the record, state your designation." "Lira Hayes, Human Division," she replied. "Exchange Cadet assigned to Interspecies Cohort 12. A faint ripple passed through the audience. Some species reacted to her calm tone, expecting either a tremor or a shout. Humans rarely matched their prejudgments. Vakrel gestured, and a hologram ignited above the chamber, a frozen frame of the Academy courtyard showing Lira surrounded by 3 towering cadets of the Vorkath lineage. The Arbiter paused, letting the image hang like a threat. "Our review indicates you engaged in prohibited retaliation," he said. "The Vorkath heir was hospitalized for structural trauma following this encounter." His eyes narrowed. "Explain yourself." Lira studied the suspended image. The cut was deliberate. The moments leading to the confrontation were missing. She raised her gaze toward the dais, requesting unedited footage. The context of that event cannot be evaluated from a single frame. Vakrel's mandibles twitched. "The tribunal presents what is required. Do you dispute the accuracy of this recording?" "I dispute the portion you chose to show." A murmur crossed the tiers, a few delegates whispered to aides. Vakrel tapped the dais surface, activating the clip. It played in staccato fragments, her stepping forward, the Vorkath heir falling back, the abrupt halt of the frame. None of the harassment beforehand appeared. When the image vanished, the Arbiter leaned forward. "This is sufficient to establish aggression from your side." Lira straightened. "With respect, it establishes nothing without continuity. Several cameras in that courtyard capture full sequences. You are displaying selective segments." Delegates from softer, more fragile species watched her with conflicted expressions. Some had suffered similar academy pressures but lacked the resilience to resist. Lira recognized their silent hope that she might say what they never could. Vakrel feigned patience. "Then enlighten us. What occurred before these moments?" "A smaller cadet from the Veshari enclave was cornered," she said. "The Vorkath trio threatened to break his sensory tendrils for entertainment. I intervened verbally. They escalated despite multiple warnings. And you, being human, decided to take corrective action?" "I acted to prevent harm when no authority was present." Vakrel clicked his claws against the dais. "Humans often describe physical intervention as necessity. Other species call it violence. Isn't it true that your physiology allows you to harm nearly any Academy cadet with minimal effort?" "Which is why I didn't harm anyone until he attacked first," Lira replied. Her voice didn't rise, but the confidence behind it blocked further insinuation. The Arbiter's lenses narrowed. "We have testimonies suggesting otherwise." "From whom?" she asked. "That is not for you to request." Lira tilted her head. "Because they don't exist, or because they contradict your narrative." The hall hushed again. A few Arbiters exchanged uneasy glances. Lira felt the tension climbing, not the reckless kind, but the quiet weight that signaled a shift in the room's balance. She could sense Vakrel adjusting tactics. He brought up another hologram, this one a blurred transcript of supposed witness statements. Entire sections were unreadable. "These are sealed testimonies," he said. "The tribunal finds them credible." "You find them convenient," Lira answered. "But they omit every threat made before the confrontation. They also exclude the Vorkath heir's initial strike." Vakrel's posture stiffened. "You are implying tribunal mishandling?" "I'm implying someone altered records. If that someone is not the tribunal, then I suggest you investigate who benefited from the omission." A ripple of approval flickered through the far-left delegation tier, where the smaller Veshari representatives sat. They knew what she had protected their cadet from, their silent gratitude steadied her. Vakrel dismissed the hologram with a flick of his claw. "We are not here to debate hypothetical tampering. We are here to determine whether your actions violate the conditions under which humanity joined this accord." Lira locked eyes with him. "Then show the truth." His irritation sharpened. "Your insistence on context suggests reluctance to take responsibility. It suggests commitment to accuracy." He paused, recalibrating. The moment felt intentional. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as if the citadel itself sensed the approaching shift. Then he posed the question she had felt circling since her arrival. "Cadet Hayes," he said slowly, "under what authority did you intervene that day?" The hall went still. Delegates leaned forward, each recognizing the trap embedded in the question. If she claimed personal instinct, they would label her dangerous. If she cited human training, they could argue Earth-sanctioned aggression. If she invoked moral duty, they would accuse her of subjective justice. Lira didn't answer immediately. She studied the Arbiter's expression, noting a flicker of anticipation. He expected panic. He expected excuses. He expected a human to falter. Instead, she inhaled, steadying her focus. "Before I answer," she said, "I need confirmation of something." Vakrel raised a brow ridge. "And what is that?" "Is the tribunal genuinely seeking truth," she asked, "or merely a justification to punish my species?" Gasps flickered through the chamber. Even the stone-like walls seemed to pull inward. The Arbiter's voice thinned. "You will answer the question." "I will," she said quietly, "when this tribunal acknowledges the full sequence of events." A heavy silence filled the chamber, dense, electric, waiting. Lira stood unshaken, but the air shifted around her, suggesting something concealed beneath the tribunal floor had begun to activate. She felt the danger for the first time, subtle yet unmistakable. Something was coming. A tremor pulsed through the tribunal floor, too subtle for most species to notice, but unmistakable to Lira. The Citadel's environmental regulators hummed in an unusual pitch, one she had heard only during controlled suppression field drills back at the academy. A sensation like distant pressure gathered at the edges of her awareness, not painful yet, but deliberately directed. Vakrel's lenses brightened as though he sensed her realization. "Very well, Cadet Hayes. Since you refuse to answer without context, provide the tribunal with your version of events." His tone carried a rehearsed neutrality, but the tension beneath it exposed his intent. Lira stepped forward just enough to address the chamber without appearing confrontational. "On the morning of the incident," she began, "I was heading to the courtyard for advanced comparative training. I heard distress calls from a Veshari cadet. When I arrived, 3 Vorkath trainees encircled him. They threatened to detach his sensory filaments if he didn't surrender credits." A wave of discomfort moved through the Veshari seats. Their species rarely confronted conflict. To them, even the memory of such threat felt violent. "I intervened verbally," Lira continued. "I reminded them every academy member is protected under the cohort accord. They ignored that and advanced. The air struck the Veshari cadet. I reacted to prevent further harm." Vakrel tapped his claw on the dais. "The Vorkath heir insists you provoked the escalation. His statement contradicts the raw data from the courtyard sensors," Lira replied. "Specifically camera node 14A. Yet your footage excludes it." The Arbiter did not break eye contact. "Unusable." "Unusable," she echoed, "or inconvenient?" Several delegates stiffened. A Cerny representative lifted a translucent hand. High Arbiter, if the cadet speaks truth, withholding context violates tribunal mandate. Vakrel snapped, the tribunal determines relevance, not outsiders. Lira continued before he could redirect. Beyond missing footage, the medical logs submitted for the Veshari cadet were altered. The injuries from the Vorkath strike were removed from the report. She projected a small hollow from the data pad she had been allowed, only permitted for evidence, yet within the rules. This version, she displayed a clean transcript, is the archived original. The tribunal received a revised one lacking key entries. Gasps rippled across the chamber. Even species unfamiliar with human norms recognized falsified medical data as a severe breach. Vakrel's voice cooled. You are accusing the tribunal of fabricating evidence. I'm accusing someone of doing so, she answered. And you are refusing to investigate. The floor vibration intensified, still faint, but growing in pressure. Lira felt the subtle tightening in her chest as the atmospheric density shifted. A suppression field was forming, and not a standard one. This modulation targeted neuromuscular acceleration nodes common in Deathworlders. Lira kept her posture unchanged. Her voice remained level. High Arbiter, an unauthorized field has been activated. The delegates erupted in confusion. Most couldn't sense it, but some sturdier species recoiled at the edge of its effect. Vakrel remained still, as though the field were nothing more than ambient background. He answered without expression. Cadet Hayes, your physiology is known for exaggerated reactions to stress. Perhaps you are imagining sensations due to the pressure of testimony. She didn't rise to the bait. Protocol 7 prohibits suppression fields during inquiry. Protocol 7 prohibits physical displays, he corrected. Nothing in it forbids environmental regulation. Lira's grip tightened behind her back. The field wasn't strong enough to incapacitate her, but it was designed to provoke instinctive backlash from humans accustomed to resisting force. A trap meant to expose what Vakrel wanted the chamber to believe, that humans were uncontrolled threats. She projected her voice with careful steadiness. Deactivate it. It is illegal. You are mistaken. His mandibles curved downward in satisfaction. Proceed with your explanation. She continued despite the rising pressure. Once the Vorkath air struck the Veshari cadet, I stepped between them. He ordered his companions to restrain me. They attempted to pull me aside. I disengaged without causing injury. When he lunged again, I blocked the strike. His injury came from losing balance, not from me inflicting harm. A few representatives nodded, recognizing the plausibility. Others remained skeptical, waiting for something dramatic, something they expected a human to provide sooner or later. The suppression field squeezed harder. Lira inhaled through it, channeling controlled breathing from her training. Her pulse remained measured. She monitored her mental clarity in quiet intervals. The field's modulation indicated design by someone familiar with Deathworld biology. That alone implicated internal cooperation at high levels. Vakrel lifted a hand. Enough. The tribunal finds your account lacking in accountability. Humans must learn restraint. I demonstrated restraint, she answered. You inflicted trauma. I prevented worse. He leaned forward. You claim to protect, yet your nature contradicts your words. My nature, she said, is disciplined. The pressure spiked, gravity pulling downward in short, pulsing waves. A few delegates clutched rails. The Veshari representatives trembled. Some species with delicate frames shrank into their seats. Lira instantly recognized the rising hazard. This wasn't just aimed at her. The field destabilized surrounding air pockets and could collapse the lungs of weaker species. A soft cry echoed from the upper gallery. Lira looked up sharply. The same young Veshari cadet she had defended trembled at the railing, his breathing stuttering as the field compressed around him. His thin tendrils curled inward, his chest convulsed under the unfamiliar pressure. His nearest guardian scrambled but couldn't lift him, gravity pulses bound everyone in place. Lira's voice carried across the hall. Stop the field. He is suffocating. Vakrel's claw hovered above the dais, but he didn't deactivate anything. If humans were truly as stable as they claim, he said, you would remain composed under any circumstance. Lira felt the line snap, not emotionally, but ethically. There were thresholds she was willing to honor until they endangered the innocent. The tribunal chamber's hum sharpened. She knew the consequences of what she was about to do. Violating Protocol 7 meant immediate censure, possible sanctions on Earth, and political fallout that could echo across the Accord. But none of that outweighed a collapsing child. She stepped forward. Gasps exploded across the tiers as she defied the motion restrictions. The air rippled around her. The suppression field wavered under the pressure of a body moving with deliberate precision through its boundaries. Deactivate it, she warned. Vakrel froze. He had expected instinctive violence, not this controlled defiance. You will cease movement, he commanded. She took another step. The floor quivered under her weight as though reacting to forces it had never been designed to withstand. I won't allow him to die, Lira said. The chamber alarms triggered, blaring a crimson signal. She looked up at the choking Veshari cadet. And then she moved. Lira moved before the chamber's alarms finished their first cycle. The suppression field, designed to halt every form of accelerated motion, distorted around her like stretched glass pushed past its tolerance. The Citadel's stabilizers attempted to compensate, but her controlled velocity cut through the programmed resistance with surgical precision. Delegates recoiled as the air warped in her wake. She reached the central pillar where the field emitters were embedded, 3 slender obelisks humming with siphoned energy. The gravitational pulses thickened around her limbs, yet she adjusted her steps as if wading through water rather than machinery meant to immobilize Deathworlders. Vakrel shouted, Cadet Hayes, you will stop immediately. She didn't. She pressed 2 fingertips to the nearest emitter. Its metal shell trembled under the micro-vibrations of her focused pressure. She adjusted the angle, applied a fraction more force, and the inner lattice shattered. A swirl of dissipating charge leapt across the platform before collapsing into harmless particles. The remaining devices flickered, destabilized by the first's destruction. The field fell away from the chamber like a released breath. Delegates gasped as gravity normalized, some slumping from the sudden relief. Lira didn't pause. She raced up the incline toward the upper gallery. A few representatives attempted to step aside, but she blurred past them with measured accuracy, never brushing a single robe or limb. The Veshari cadet still struggled, his small chest heaved in shallow bursts, tendrils shaking violently. She lifted him with steady arms, supporting his fragile frame as though cradling glass. His wide eyes blinked slowly. You came, he whispered. You shouldn't have needed help in the first place, she said softly. You're safe now. A medical aide rushed forward, taking over with trembling hands. Relief washed through the surrounding Veshari seats, several lowered their heads in gratitude. Lira stepped back, exhaling once before turning to face the tribunal floor again. Silence had overtaken the chamber, the kind that signaled not mere shock, but a collective shift in perception. Every representative stared at her, not with the distrust that had greeted her arrival, but with a dawning recognition of something they had underestimated: control. She had broken protocol, yes, but she had done it with calculated restraint, causing no casualties, no collateral damage. Only Vakrel seemed unable to accept the unfolding truth. He regained his composure with an effort. You have violated the highest prohibition of this chamber, he declared. You have demonstrated reckless disregard for life? Lira asked, descending the steps with composed steps. If I had remained still, he would have died. Vakrel slammed a claw onto the dais. You do not decide who lives or dies here. Neither do you, she answered, but you tried. A ripple moved through the hall, some delegates stood, others whispered furiously. The suppression field's activation, now exposed by her destruction of the emitters, had not gone unnoticed. Several species were already pulling up their internal regulations, matching violations line by line. Lira returned to the center of the platform. The remnants of the broken emitter lay scattered like metallic dust around her boots. She looked up at Vakrel. "You asked me under what authority I acted that day." He hesitated, then repeated, "Yes." "Answer." She met his gaze without wavering. "I acted under the authority of protecting those who cannot defend themselves. When laws fail, duty remains." The chamber absorbed her words with palpable weight. Delegates exchanged glances, some thoughtful, others uneasy, but none indifferent. A Cerny representative spoke first. "High Arbiter, the cadet protected a life when the field you allowed endangered it." Vakrel bristled. "There is no proof I allowed." Lira interrupted with calm precision. "Then let's show the unedited recordings." Delegates murmured. Vakrel's mandibles twitched in alarm. "The tribunal does not." She raised her wrist device. Security Node 14A. Full sequence. The Citadel systems hesitated for a moment, as if deciding whether to obey her or the Arbiter. Then the feed ignited above the chamber. A clear, uninterrupted sequence displayed the Vorkath trio cornering the Veshari cadet, the Air's strike, and her verbal attempts to stop them. The final frame showed the Air lunging first, not her. It also captured the exact moment the suppression field activated, before any escalation. Delegates erupted in outrage. A Draxian representative rose, wings flaring. "This footage contradicts every record provided by the tribunal." A crystalline voice from the Solaran ambassador Tyr added, "And it proves intentional manipulation." Vakrel's composure shattered. "She hacked the system, humans are known for." Lira met his accusation head-on. "Node 14A is a passive recorder. It cannot be edited remotely without your authorization codes." Dozens of eyes turned to the Arbiter. The Cerny delegate addressed him directly. "Explain why critical footage was withheld." "It was corrupted," he insisted. "No," Lira corrected. "You replaced it." The chamber fell into stunned quiet. The political unraveling of a High Arbiter was not a spectacle the Citadel witnessed often. Guards along the perimeter shifted uncertainly, awaiting instructions they no longer trusted. One delegate from the Trillions Council rose. "High Arbiter Vakrel, you are hereby suspended pending full investigation." Two guards approached the dais. Vakrel retreated a step, incredulous. "You would believe her over a century of tribunal service?" A Veshari elder responded in a gentle, unwavering voice, "We believe the truth over the one who hid it." Vakrel attempted to flee, but the guard seized him. His glare fixed on Lira with venomous hatred. "This changes nothing. Humans remain a threat." Lira walked toward him with calm steps. She did not raise her voice, nor did she adopt any posture of victory. She stopped beside him, her tone quiet yet resonant. "Fear humans if you must," she said. "But understand why you fear us. It is not our strength. It is our restraint." He stiffened, speechless. The guards escorted him out as the chamber lights recalibrated. Delegates turned their attention to Lira, no longer with suspicion, but with a mixture of respect and reconsideration. The Cerny representative bowed slightly. "Cadet Hayes, your actions saved a life and exposed corruption. The Accord will review your conduct accordingly." Lira nodded once. "Transparency is all I ask." The tribunal adjourned with soft tones as members dispersed into the elevated corridors. The panic that had filled the air minutes earlier dissolved into contemplative silence. Lira stepped toward the exit bridge. The Veshari caregiver approached with gratitude in her eyes. "We owe you more than thanks," she said. "You owe me nothing," Lira answered. "Just keep him safe." As she walked through the Citadel's archway, the galaxy outside shimmered through transparent panels. Vandros 9 cast long beams across her path. She felt neither triumph nor relief, only certainty. Truth had been forced into the open. And the Accord would never view humans the same way again. The Citadel's corridors hummed with distant argument after the tribunal dissolved. Lira walked steadily, passing walls that reflected the soft glow of Vandros 9. The once neutral architecture now felt charged with the weight of what had occurred. Every step echoed louder than before, as if the citadel itself re-evaluated her place within it. 2 escorts flanked her, not as guards but as protocol guides. Their shifting colors indicated formal neutrality. Ahead, an observation balcony overlooked the star. When she reached it, she paused, letting the burnished light settle across her features. Behind her, one escort cleared its throat gently. "Cadet Hayes, the Council requests your presence in a secondary chamber. A provisional committee will convene shortly." "Already?" she asked. "The Tribunal's collapse requires immediate mediation," the escort replied. "Your testimony reshaped several directives." Lira exhaled slowly. She expected fallout, but not acceleration. "Lead the way." They guided her toward a chamber smaller and far more intimate than the Grand Tribunal Hall. Its doors opened to reveal a semicircle of officials from species with long, cautious histories in the Accord. They whispered to one another until noticing her arrival. A senior Solaran representative, whose crystalline form shifted with calm luminescence, gestured toward the center. "Cadet Hayes, thank you for presenting yourself." Lira stepped into the circle, remaining composed. "I'm here to answer whatever remains unclear." The representative inclined its faceted head. "Your actions today destabilized an entrenched power structure. Such disruption requires evaluation, not punishment. Be assured, this is not an accusation." A Draxian delegate leaned forward, wings folded. "We wish to understand how a species so feared for physical potential maintains such restraint." Lira met the question without hesitation. "Training, discipline, culture. Humans adapt through adversity rather than domination. Survival doesn't require cruelty." "That is not common among Deathworld species," the Draxian replied. "It's necessary among ours," she answered. Another delegate, this one from the Trillions Collective, tapped a quill against a folded tablet. "You dismantled a suppression emitter with minimal force. Explain the decision." "I calculated the structural threshold," she said. "Breaking only the inner lattice disabled it without endangering anyone nearby. More severe force would have risked explosive discharge." The Trillions official nodded. "You exercised judgment beyond instinct. That matters." A Veshari elder rose from her smaller seat. Her tendrils glowed with gratitude. "Had you delayed, the child would have perished. For that, our enclave thanks you." Lira softened her tone. "I acted because no one else could." "You acted because no one else did," the elder corrected gently. Before Lira responded, a side door opened. The Cerny representative who had defended her earlier entered, carrying a data slate. "We have concluded our preliminary investigation," he announced. "Evidence confirms Vakrel's involvement in manipulating tribunal records. The remaining question concerns the Accord's response." Delegates exchanged glances. The Solaran representative addressed Lira again. "Your actions may influence the drafting of new protocols. We ask whether you understand the scale of change you initiated." Lira folded her hands. "I didn't act for policy. I acted because an innocent was in danger. And yet policy now bends around that choice," the Solaran said. The Draxian tilted its head thoughtfully. "Humanity may be offered expanded authority in joint operations. Your demonstration today proves your species can enforce stability without excess." Lira hesitated. "I'm a cadet, not a policymaker." "You are a precedent," the Trillions representative replied. Before the discussion could deepen, an alert shimmered across the central console. A hologram appeared, showing Vakrel in confinement. His mandibles vibrated with fury as he strained against containment fields. "You think this will stand?" he snarled. "Humans are dangerous. This cadet is proof." Several delegates frowned at the irony. Vakrel continued, "She broke the protocol. She demonstrated precisely what I warned you about." Lira stepped toward the projection, maintaining steady eye contact. "I broke protocol to save a life. You broke law to end one." He hissed. You believe the galaxy fears your strength. It should fear your unpredictability more. The only unpredictable element today was your desperation, she replied. The Solaran cut in. Vakrel, your authority is revoked. Continued interference will add to your charges. He glared one last time before the feed vanished. Silence settled over the room. The Cerny representative closed his data slate. His words will not influence our decision. His actions already dictated it. A long breath escaped Lyra's chest. She hadn't realized how tightly she had held it. The Solaran turned back to her. Cadet Hayes, despite today's trials, your conduct reflects dignity under coercion. The Accord acknowledges your integrity. The Veshari elder stepped forward, offering a small token shaped like interwoven silver threads. A symbol of protection from our enclave, she said. You upheld a promise none of us were strong enough to voice. Lyra accepted it carefully. Thank you. The Draxian delegate rose. There is final matter. Your academy placement must be reassessed. Returning to the same environment may place you at risk. I can manage myself, Lyra said. We know, he replied. That is part of the concern. The Solaran representative's glow brightened, signaling the session's conclusion. We will issue a statement restoring clarity and trust within the Accord. As for you, Cadet Hayes, a report will be sent to Earth Command requesting evaluation for advanced diplomatic track training. Lyra blinked. Diplomatic? You possess a combination of restraint, precision, and courage under provocation, the Solaran said. Qualities essential for navigating dangerous negotiations. The corridor lights dimmed as the delegates adjourned. Lyra remained briefly, absorbing the shift in her reality. She had expected consequences, just not these. As she walked out, she found the young Veshari cadet standing near the archway, supported by his caregiver. His breathing was steady again. He stepped forward timidly. You saved me twice, he said. You deserve safety both times, Lyra replied. His tendrils curled into a grateful bloom. Will you still train with us? She smiled gently. If the Accord permits. The caregiver bowed. Whatever path you take, know that our enclave stands with you. Lyra continued down the corridor, the citadel stretching before her like a vast, shifting horizon. She felt the weight of the symbol in her palm, cool and delicate. The galaxy watched humans with new eyes now, eyes that saw not monsters, but guardians capable of terrifying precision. At the balcony overlooking Vandros 9, she paused once more. The star burned steadily, scattering gold across the chamber. Below her, ships moved through the traffic lanes, unaware of the political storm that had just been redirected. Lyra breathed in deeply. Change had begun. And for the first time, she felt prepared to shape it.